What's good everyone, it's Kajani with an episode of the Crafter's Corner, a video series dedicated to crafting and gathering in Final Fantasy XIV. In this episode, we are going to cover the crafting and gathering content that we can expect to be released for the remainder of the expansion, as well as sprinkle in some predictions along the way. Before we get into what's coming in future patches, let's go over right quick the relevant crafting and gathering content that we got in patch 6.3, starting with the Indicator gear set. It is the last set of gear that will be released for the remainder of the expansion. So once you manage to pentameld the Indicator gear, it will be best in slot for the remainder of the expansion and should allow you to craft or gather any of the new things released in 7.0. Moving on to patch 6.35, we got the first and hopefully not the last step of the tool enhancement quests known as the Splendorous Tools. At the moment, the Splendorous Tools have the same stats as an unmelded high quality Indicator tool, which is not that exciting. What is exciting though are the abilities that they come with and their effects on certain crafting and gathering activities. With all of that said, will the Skysteel tools be best in slot by the end of the expansion? Are they going to add more abilities to the tools, or will their glow up make them shine brighter than a Skysteel tool? Well, we should get the answers to these questions and a whole lot more in patch 6.4. It is anticipated that patch 6.4 will be released sometime mid to late May. It's a highly anticipated patch because we will be getting the final tier of the Pandemonium raids. 6.4 is going to be good times for those about that crafting life, since there will be new endgame crafted items in the form of raid gear, tinctures, and raid food, as well as plenty of new things to gather to craft those items. So if your intention is to set yourself up to make some gil in 6.4, well, there is one important thing that you need to keep in mind. And that's going to be the Savage version of the raids will most likely be released 1 week after 6.4 is released. So let's say 6.4 is released on May 22nd, then the Savage version of the raids will be released on May 29th. The expected week delay will specifically affect the market for the new crafted raid gear. Raiders are gonna have a week to stock up on tomes to purchase the new Tomestone gear, get a new weapon from the latest Extreme Trial, as well as farm pieces of gear from the normal mode of the new Pandemonium raids. With so many options available, the crafted raid gear and weapons won't be top sellers early on in patch 6.4. However, you can make some gil by exploring other options like the new raid food, the tinctures, crafting materials that can be gathered or purchased with scripts, and also intermediary crafting materials. Another thing that we can expect to receive in patch 6.4 is a new set of script gear for Disciple of Hand and Disciple of Land. The new script gear will be mainly for players fresh to level 90 or for players who take a casual approach to crafting and gathering. You may want to consider getting the gathering gear for your retainers, as the stat increase may allow your retainers to gather more Endwalker crafting materials. Moving on, patch 6.45 should be released 2 months after 6.4. With it, we should be getting another step of the Splendorous Tool questline. Not sure if this is going to be the last step, but if it is, it's going to provide the answers to all the burning questions surrounding the tools. I believe the Splendorous Tools will end up being a viable alternative to a pentamelded Indicator, and at a minimum, it's going to be a really nice piece of glam. For patch 6.5, we are looking at a September, early October release date. Usually in this patch, the devs release tools and rare titles that can be earned by completing certain achievements. They have been doing this since Heavensward, so it's expected that they continue to do so in Endwalker. The tools aren't best in slot or anything, but the stats are respectable enough that you could use them if you wanted. The Botanist and Miner achievements rewarded players with tools that had a glowing effect on them, As you can see, the effect has gotten better with every new expansion. They are the easiest to get in comparison to the other disciples because all you had to do is gather a certain amount of items in your gathering log. For crafters, we may have to put in some work to get whatever achievement tool that will be coming in Endwalker. Like in Heaven's Ward and Stormblood, all you had to do was craft a certain amount of recipes. In Shadowbringers, they decided to switch things up and make us get our achievement tools by completing a series of the toughest expert recipes that were ever released in the game. So it remains to be seen if they will run it back with something similar in Endwalker. For fishing, in order to get your newest achievement title and fishing rod, you basically have to catch every fish in the game. It is probably the toughest achievement to get out of all the disciples because of how hard it is to catch some of these big fish. However, you will be rewarded with a new fishing rod and one of the rarest titles in the game. And if you thought catching your typical big fish were problematicus, well, the deep hunt starts for fishing mains later on in the patch. Sometime, maybe patch 6.55 is where they release legendary fish which are notoriously difficult to catch. Hopefully, as a silver lining, the devs Cinderdrift surprise us with a level 90 fishing gig. That would be nice, but we'll see. After all of that content, we just sit back and wait for patch 7.0. That's all I have for this video recapping the content we expect to be released for the rest of the expansion. I will catch y'all in the next video. Until next time, peace.